Now today, while I was riding around, the thought that occurred to me is that the GS1100E might be the king of torque for this era bike. I know the MT09 is supposed to be maximum torque, but torque is a very hard thing to explain to people, especially if they're caught up in wanting one more horsepower at the top end or two more horsepower, and they're willing to trade away the low end torque. What happens is, yeah, at the drags, maybe that's your benefit, or if you're racing for bagels or something. But in the real world of driving, where you're just riding around and you come up on a corner, you just want that torque right where you want it. And this bike has that in spades. This is the smoothest torque delivery. It makes the bike very, very easy to ride, very comfortable to ride, very inspiring to ride. You're not worried about, like you would be on a two-stroke, that all of a sudden the power is going to kick in and it's all over. So 42 years ago, I was a young guy. It's hard to believe, huh? And I bought this GS brand new at Westwood Suzuki, and I had no idea how much I was going to like it, how over the whole rest of my lifetime it would be part of my life. It's still part of my life. I just celebrated being 79 years old. The bike's celebrating being 42 years old. There's not much to like here. We have to get out of here early today and get back early. It's a special day for our family, but I still want to get a ride today, and the weather looks like it's going to be beautiful. And of course, anytime I ride a motorcycle, I like to pre-flight the bike, check the air in the tires, check the chain, check the oil. I'm just a fanatic for maintenance. Over-maintaining a bike has always served me well. I like to look around. Every time I wipe a bike off, I'm looking for something loose or something that might not look right. And I have chores around the house: feeding the fish, primary, feed the birds, pick Karen some nice flowers. We're in the end of the flower season, but we're still getting fresh flowers every day. And feeding my fish gives me a little relaxing time while I'm having my last cup of coffee. We still have a few flowers left in the garden, and Karen is always impressed. Now, she's going to be cooking today. She's been cooking every day while I go out riding. And we got a thing called ratatouille today we're making. It requires a lot of, and these are right from our garden, a lot of fresh tomatoes. I expect when I get home she'll be well on her way to having it done. And she really does appreciate the flowers. I love having fresh flowers every day. Just me. And my birds, they of course, they love me. They show me the true love by pooping on my car every morning. But always gets me in a mood to go for a ride. Get suited up. It looks like a beautiful day. Get out to the garage, and it is just a heavenly day. As I look at it, it couldn't be any nicer. Oh, I'm ready. I know back in the early 80s, well, maybe even throughout the 80s, guys were making race bikes, drag bikes, cafe bikes. These bikes were just the donor bikes for an awful lot of modified bikes. A few survive intact that are basically like mine, that are not modified or very slightly modified. And those that survive the makeover process usually last a long time. This one's got 80,000 miles on it. The torque delivery on this bike is the best of any in my collection. As you come out of a corner, you roll on the throttle, it is linear, it's smooth, it transitions beautifully, it doesn't get crazy and loosen up the back end or do a wheelie. And after you ride one for a full day, say for 100, 150 miles, you realize just how unique that is to be able to roll that throttle on, and there's no bumps in the torque curve, and that torque is just so predictable and so linear. Now, that's one of the advantages of keeping a bike stock, not making it highly modified or changing the exhaust or the carburetors or whatever, the cam, is Suzuki did a pretty good job of engineering that torque right into the right spot of the power band, so the bike is fun to ride, and believe me, it still has plenty of power. I never get to the point with this bike that I really feel like I don't have enough power. Now, it's a real quagmire of sorts. I've ridden a lot of bikes that have beautiful low-end torque, very similar to the GS. But then what happens when you get where you want to go through the gears and get the engine up to red line, they kind of peter out. They run a little soft on power up top. That's the beauty of the GS that makes it different. It's got the low-end torque, and when you wind it up through the gears, you get near red line, it comes alive. Now, if you're making a race bike, you probably not high on your priority list that the bike is fun to ride. But a street bike, a bike that I want to go out to my garage in the morning, and as soon as I leave the driveway, be having fun. So having that torque at the right spot, not having a bike be peaky, not having it be wheelie prone, or having it that it's got good torque and it's got nothing up top, that's the problem. Having it all is difficult, and somehow Suzuki did a good job. And as the day gets hotter and hotter, I look for more and more shady spots, these back roads where I love to ride. The GS loves to cruise these roads, and they are, on a day when it's warming up, it's like a breath of fresh air, like a breath of air conditioning. And I think what happens is when you've ridden motorcycles your whole life, in my case, probably more than 60, 65 years, you become a connoisseur. You nitpick away at things that new riders just live with. They live with a bike that has a peaky horsepower. This one, believe me, doesn't. And a few mods I've made to the bike, not one of them has anything to do with changing that engine, with changing the torque or the power of the engine. I have an 86 exhaust system, but that's only because I liked it in black chrome when it was relatively new, and Frank Straub donated it to my cause from his 86 when he put on an aftermarket exhaust. The EBC rotors and the steel brake lines from Joe Padula, he has exactly the same bike. They were a nice little upgrade, and as per Dallas, putting a front disc on the back wheel saved a few pounds, but none of them ruined that torque of the motor. So it's nice you combine the beautiful torque, the beautiful power band, comfortable ergonomics, one of the best seats in motorcycling, super comfortable, and you've got an all-day cruiser on your hands too. And I've found anytime I ride with modern sport bikes, I don't seem to have a whole lot of trouble staying in their shadow. Now, it's not like we're racing for bagels or anything, but this bike, if you ride it well and you ride it within its limits, it is pretty good relative to a modern bike. And it's really, what's surprising, it's 42 years old. But at 79 years old, the overriding thing in my life is to have fun with the motorcycles in my humble collection. And this bike, absolutely always fun. After I have my cup of coffee, I look at the bike, I know I'm going to have a great day on the road. And my friend Scott had a lead on one, but unfortunately he was slow to pull the trigger and somebody beat him to it. But Scott, I know there's more of them out there, but they really do take a little bit of hunting to find them. And I really am happy to have the two I have, and several of my friends, Joe Padula, Jim Skinner, Aaron, among the other people that have GSs. We all kind of have a nice little camaraderie going. And this one, I've had it since new. Again, 42 years it's been in my family, it's been in my life, and it has become a really good friend. It's something I think about, something I dream about. And today was a wonderful day to get out on the open road. This really was a special day. But we have family stuff to take care of. I got to get back to the farm, and I got to see how Karen's doing with her rat-tattooey. So while I was out riding, Karen is making rat-tattooey. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It'll be delicious.
It will be. Well, the only thing left is to put the bike away. And no matter how you ride this bike, if you ride it aggressively, or you ride it like a touring bike, or you go on a long trip, or you just want to race your friends for bagels, the bike always fun. And it's that torque and that power band. Download it, just like the MT-09. Just make it very enjoyable to ride in traffic, out in the open road, or on the back road. It's that torque. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button if you did, and thank you so much for watching.